Josh Taylor just with a final bit of encouragement for his gym mate there, Ben Davison, the trainer. As I said, they've had some huge wins, that team, in recent times. Taylor against Ramirez for undisputed, of course, but every bit as big in its own way, really, was Lee Wood beating Zhu Can last week, because it was so unexpected for so many people. Not for the man sitting next to me, Dave Caldwell, he's Lee Wood's manager. He saw it coming all day long. So into the first round here, the first defence of his European title for Lee McGregor, who is in the blue and white. Vincent Legrand, the former two-time European flyweight titleist, in the dark red and black.
There's a huge size difference straight away.
That was always a distinct possibility. He's moved up to bantamweight fairly recently, Legrand, and as mentioned, McGregor is a big bantamweight.
Legrand has caught McGregor with a couple of shots early doors. Perhaps he's got the little flyweight speed he's brought up with him.
As I mentioned, he does have an amateur background in World Series boxing, which is a very, very good standard. Went 1-3, which might not sound great, but in that competition, it's not all that bad a record. Left hand there from Legrand up top, just caught McGregor clean. Inching forward there, McGregor. Popping out the jab there is Legrand. Let's keep that high guard, McGregor. Elbows forward. Exposes that ribcage a bit.
He's looking to impose himself, obviously as a bigger man, but looking to impose himself to get himself into range to land the power shots, but he's just walking onto a lot of the snappy little counters that Legrand's throwing.
Well, into the final minute, and as you're saying, McGregor's been on the front foot, he's been on the prowl, but it's Legrand who has done the more successful punching in terms of accuracy in this opening round.
Yeah. He just needs to relax up a little bit, so maybe not try so hard to try and get up close so early.
Jab there from Legrand, just hitting the gloves of McGregor, who then looks for a jab of his own. Right hand down the centre there was the better looking shot. Made a good start here though, Legrand. He looks nice and relaxed, he looks composed, he's not overawed by this. Gloves between the two at the end of the first round. Legrand up to our right hand side, just choosing to stay on his feet. Is that right? That was the best shot that he threw in the round there. McGregor just slipped underneath the jab. Combination there from Legrand.
Yeah, he got some good shots off that first round. Like I said, McGregor's probably going to take a round or two maybe to adjust to the speed of the flyweight coming up. Also, a little bit of complacency maybe. Goes back to the corner, has a chat with Ben, resets, comes out a little bit more switched on, and also he'll be used to the timing a little bit more now.
So into the second, pretty much full here at Falls Park now. 6,000 in attendance, and what has turned out to be, fingers crossed, a pretty good night weather-wise. The rain stopped a while ago, it hasn't reappeared since. It's coolish, but it's not too cold. Not that anybody here is remotely bothered by that. McGregor just looking to try and get on the jab a little bit more at the start of round 2. Feinted his way in with the feet there, but then Legrand was able just to do a little bit of work with that lead right hand. Right hand there from McGregor. Just catching a little bit, which is to be expected when you've got an orthodox and a southpaw. We're just trying to draw something from Legrand there, but Legrand isn't going to play that game.
And again, Legrand's accuracy is really good.
Looking for the uppercut off the back of the double jab there, McGregor didn't quite land it. Rude left uppercut from McGregor, left to the body.
Often the problem with boxing something that you can't get footage of is it takes a couple of rounds just to work them out, work the timing out, the movements out, and just get used to the whole look of them. And in the meantime, you might get caught with the shots, and you know, you might look like you're a gear behind until you figure it out, and then you can get into your pattern. It's like when sometimes we have amateurs getting, you know, you bring in a couple of amateurs, 2 different sparring partners, bring in an amateur in to spar with the champion. The amateur spars 3 rounds, gets out thinking he can handle them, but he's boxing 12-round fights, so it's not always about what happens in the first couple of rounds. Although this is impressive from the ground.
He's a well-organised fighter.
Yeah, he is. Everything just is pretty basic what he's doing, but what he's doing is very correct. Oh!
Well, there's a legitimate knockdown from Legrand as well. Led off with the jab, landed down, followed up with the left hand. The feet went from underneath McGregor a little bit there, possibly tripped himself up a touch, but that is a knockdown. It all started with a punch, and there is that effectiveness from Legrand. Good jab, just rocked him back on his heels, followed it up, and put him down. So Lee McGregor is going to drop this round 10-8. Legrand just stepping in there.
And he's hurt.
Bell goes at the end of the round, and well, this is very, very interesting now, because Legrand, by my reckoning, won that opening round, and he's won that second round 10-8 as well, and he's got to find a way into this fight, McGregor, now, and he's got to try and find a way into it quite quickly.
See, I said right from the start, from the first round, he was getting caught with the shots, and he's you know, it's one thing, you've got to figure out these fighters that you don't know anything about, but you don't want to be taking punishment on the way in, and you don't want them to find their timing. Good shots.
Good stiff jab. Just rocked him back onto his heels. He was maybe a little bit tall, a little bit upright, so the balance wasn't really there for McGregor to soak it up. But as I said at the time, that's a 100% legitimate knockdown. And this is an interesting job he's got on his hands in the corner now, Ben Davison, because his fighter is, I would say, 3 points down after 2 rounds. Now, this is a 12-round fight, so there's a very long way to go, of course, but what would he be saying to him in there? He doesn't want to induce any sense of panic in him, of course, but at the same time there needs to be a little bit of urgency. It's not the easiest balance to strike necessarily.
No, like I said, I felt as though McGregor was just kind of like coming in looking to impose himself and, you know, be the bigger man, but he's not really doing a lot of activity with his lead hand. He's getting caught there. That southpaw jab, he turns it in and it's quite stiff. It's almost like a straight left hand that he's throwing. You know, he'll flick it and he'll shoot it sharp, and then he just changes the angle over McGregor's elbow, and he drops it in.
Good distance there from Legrand. Dug his toes in a bit, let his hands go a touch more. As you said, that jab has worked well for him. He's doing the basics, he's got nice fundamentals.
So it just looks like he's forcing himself on it.
Good stuff again there from Legrand. Nice 1-2, uppercut off the back of it. A little bit more expansive than he's been so far. He's growing in confidence. After the start that he's had, you would expect him to. And this is fascinating because whatever sport you're in, whether it's boxing or pretty much any other pursuit you can think of, if you make a slow start, if things don't go your way, getting it back, picking yourself up and turning things around can be a very difficult thing to do.
Legrand looks pretty comfortable at the moment, even when he's under fire there. Nice little poke with the left uppercut to the body as well.
Just coming in behind that high guard, McGregor, and Legrand is just taking the target that is offered, managing to sneak a few through the guard, sneak a few around the back of the guard. As he said before, he's not jabbing his way in, McGregor.
No, there's no feints with his lead hand. There's no little side steps. Everything's straight there, right in front of him.
Against the final 30 seconds of the round, McGregor looking to try and get that left hand off, but Legrand answered back with a couple himself there.
See, this is where he's just using his strength and imposing himself on him now.
Left uppercut and goes down to the body with the left hand.
Legrand doesn't look like he can get as much leverage when he's up close there.
There's still some good accurate work from Legrand in the earlier stages of that round. McGregor came into it more towards the end of it.
That was a nice little shot underneath. The difference is Legrand doesn't load on anything. He's just throwing everything with his elbows tucked in, turning the shots over sharp, and he still seems to be carrying some weight on those shots. Whereas McGregor's getting that and he's kind of loading, and even from range, like we saw Miss Wildweir left up, everything's forced, everything's loaded. He just needs to relax up a little bit and earn his power shots behind his boxing.
So into the fourth, this scheduled for 12. It's Lee McGregor's first defence of his European title that he won in such tremendous fashion against Karim Guerfi back in March. He's up against Vincent Legrand, who, when you look at what he's done at bantamweight, it's a bit of a mystery as to how he managed to get himself into mandatory position, but that is what happened. And he's gave a very good account of himself so far. As we've been saying, he's got good basics, boxing out of that southpaw stance. He's well organised, he doesn't give anything away. McGregor just looking to try and pull him back to the ropes, but Legrand has got an answer there, and it's a nice stiff couple of punches.
But it's there again because McGregor's attacking, he's pinning him on the ropes, but he's not thinking defensively as well on the end of his own punches. So the target was really clear for him to go for.
It's a left uppercut up close there from McGregor. Just before that, there was a right to the body. This is the kind of distance he seems to want the fight at.
Yeah.
Good head movement from him there. Looking for the uppercuts, right hand and left hand. Good upper body movement there. Legrand goes down to a knee. Spits out the gum shield, and he's not going to make it. And Lee McGregor has turned this fight on its head in the fourth round. He got that little bit closer into the range that he wanted this fight at. And once he managed to get a sustained spell in there, a little shake of the head there from McGregor. I don't think he's particularly impressed with his own performance there, possibly, but he's got the victory, and in the end